Action research is conducted by one or more individuals or groups for the purpose of solving a problem or obtaining information in order to inform local practice. Those involved in action research generally want to solve some kind of day-to-day immediate problem. The steps in action research tend to be straightforward. Action research studies are rooted in the interests and needs of practitioners. Action research is conducted by one or more individuals or groups for the purpose of solving a problem or obtaining information in order to inform local practice or policy. Such studies are generally limited in generalizability. This lecture will offer a brief introduction to action research. For those who are in the online EDD program, you will have more action research courses later. There are a few assumptions underlying action research which are important to discuss. In action research, participants are considered to have the authority to make decisions. Those involved are seriously committed to improving their performance. Educators and others involved in schools want to engage and research systematically, and those performing the research will make the necessary changes and recommendations. There are two main types of action research. The first is practical action research. This addresses a specific problem, and the primary purpose is to improve practice and inform larger issues. The other is participatory action research. The goal is to empower individuals and groups to improve their lives and bring out social change. Stakeholders are involved and all are active in all processes. This is called collaborative participation. You may hear of different classification types in other courses. The basic ideas are similar. When you think about participation and action research, there are a number of levels of participation in which one could be involved. Let's begin at the bottom and move to the top. You could provide information, become informed of the purpose of the study, receive findings, assist in data collection or analysis, review the findings, participate in the interpretation, participate in designing the project, participant in the problem specification, or initiate the study. Each of these varies in terms of the amount of time commitment that is involved. The ones higher on the list are more time intensive, requiring a deeper commitment involvement. Let's look at the steps in action research. First, researchers need to identify the research question. Researchers need to gather the necessary information, analyze and interpret the information, and finally develop a plan of action. How will you respond to the findings? You can tell that the steps are different compared with formal research. Next, we will look at advantages and disadvantages of action research. Action research can be performed by anyone in any type of school setting or institution. It can help to improve educational practice and improve the craft of educators and other professionals. It can help educators to identify problems systematically. Finally, action research can build a community of research-oriented individuals at the local level. On the other hand, a major disadvantage of action research is limited generalizability because researchers normally only focus on participants in their studies. Let's end our discussion with the similarities and the differences between action research and formal quantitative and qualitative research. With both forms, you would have a systematic inquiry process. With action research, your goal is to solve problems of local concern, while with formal research, your goal is to develop and test theories and to produce knowledge that is generalizable to populations. You can see that this is one disadvantage of action research. It has a much narrower goal and is very difficult to generalize. For action research, little formal training is required to conduct such a study, where formal research involves considerable training. For action research, the intent is to identify and correct problems, while formal research involves an intent to investigate a larger issue that might also be of a local concern. Action research is often carried out by teachers or local education professionals, while formal research is carried out by a researcher who may not be directly involved in the local situation. Action research primarily uses teacher-developed instruments, while formal research primarily uses more professionally developed instruments. Action research can at times be less rigorous. For instance, you may not have a rigorous sampling plan. Formal research is often more rigorous. When we have action research, usually the research is value-based in some way. Formal research is more frequently value-neutral. With action research, you often use purposive samples, while in formal research, you try to use random samples. In action research, the opinions of the researcher are frequently considered to be data, while in formal research, the opinions of researcher would never be considered data. And finally, the biggest disadvantage to action research is that the generalizability is very limited. While with formal research, it is often the case that you can generalize. All the research designs methods we have covered before can be used in action research. These differences are not absolute, and researchers must analyze the situation based on specific research studies. Thanks for watching the video.